If you're not sure what pressure to inflate your tyres to, just walk around to your driver's door, as we'll do now, and on the door pillar or on the edge of the door you should find a small label giving you this information. So for my car, I keep the tyres the same size as the factory recommends, and it recommends 35 psi for the rear tyres and 30 for the front, although actually I keep my front ones at 32, which is a little bit higher than recommended, but I just prefer the feel. Hi, I'm just about to check the pressure in my tyres, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to look at and compare two tyre inflators that I have. They're both from Michelin. The reason I do it at home is that because where I live in southern Thailand, I've had quite a few problems doing it outside. Petrol stations may not have a facility. If they do, it may be broken or the pressure gauge will be inaccurate. If it's working, there's normally a long queue of people, so you have to wait. And then when it's your turn, you feel obliged to hurry because there are people waiting. So I looked at an option to do it at home. It's very important to keep tyres at the right pressure for reasons of fuel economy and safety. Another problem I found is that when other people inflate my tyres, they normally put far too much air in. If there's a puncture or if the car goes in for a service. I had my wheels painted earlier this year, and the tyres came back with 46 psi, which is crazy. So the first machine I found was this Michelin one, which is quite basic, but it has one or two features that are probably better than the later machine. They take their power from the 12 volt DC outlet. Normally in the car there's a cigarette lighter. In older cars there's normally one, but in newer cars they tend to have quite a few of these 12 volt outlets, because nowadays we have so many phones and mobile devices. The first nice thing on this one is that there's a small red LED on the plug, so when I plug it in I can tell there's power, which is quite nice. The second feature that's quite nice is I can remove the pressure gauge and just use it as a standalone unit, plug it straight into the valve in the tyre, which is quite useful. There's a small yellow button on it, and I can cycle between different units of pressure, PSI, bar and kilopascal. I'm most familiar with PSI, so that's what I usually keep it in. So put that back in the machine, plug it in, and I'll show you the third nice feature on this machine. If you put the hose onto the valve, and well, here it tells you the pressure, it's actually 31. If there's too much pressure, there's a small button here that you can press just to release air, which is quite useful. That doesn't exist on the later machine, which we'll look at in a minute. So it's reading 31. I like to keep the front tyres at 32. So it's just now a case of turning the machine on, adding some air, waiting. It normally goes down a bit, so then repeat the process until you've got the right amount of air in there. And that's about it for the old one. Apart from there are some LED lights that are on all the time, quite useful if you're working at night. So we'll take this one off. I'll disconnect the power source and connect the newer machine. The reason I have two is because I went to use this one day, and this hose just come off in my hands. The rubber had perished. So I went out and bought the second unit, but then I found some replacement hose and managed to repair this one myself, which is, the repair was quite easy. So now I just use this one as a backup. So here's the new one. You can see it's quite a different design. It stands up rather than sits down. The hose that broke on the old one is different on the new one. It's a kind of like fabric. It's got a outer covering. It's a lot stronger and more resistant to breaking. So that's good. It's also got lights, but whereas on the old one I couldn't turn the lights off, I can turn them on and off with this one. And there's more lights, or there's 5 LEDs rather than 2. There's a USB outlet, there's a 12-volt DC outlet, an on-off button, another yellow button to look at the pressure in different units, same again, PSI, bar and kilopascal, and these buttons are used to adjust the pressure. The main difference with this one is that it does everything automatically. On the old one, it was necessary to keep adding air until it was until the pressure was correct. On this one, that process is automated. So just connect the hose to the valve. Look at the pressure. It's reading 31. I want 32. So using these 2 buttons, which have got a plus and minus sign, just set it to the required pressure. And before I turn it on, I'll just explain what will happen, because it will be noisy and you won't be able to hear me. First, the machine will inflate to 32, then it will pause, and what will happen is the pressure will probably go down a bit, so then the machine will switch back on again, and it will keep cycling like that until the pressure is stable. And sometimes it takes up to about 6 cycles before the pressure is correct. The thing to do is not to turn the machine off when it stops the first time. Just wait for several seconds and see if it switches itself back on again. Once it has stopped for several seconds, you know it's finished, then you can turn it off. So we'll turn it on. I think that was actually 9 cycles. That's quite a lot. It's not normally that many, but so it can take a long time. But once it settles, you see that the pressure is exactly 32. So that's it just makes life a little bit easier than the old one. It's important to turn it off before you disconnect the hose, because if you disconnect the hose, it will sense a loss in pressure, and then it will turn itself back on again. So we'll turn that off, and then disconnect the hose. And put the dust cap back on. So, comparing the two, I've been very pleased with both of them. They both do a good job and allow me to keep my tyres at the right pressure all the time. The first one takes a bit more messing around to get the right pressure. The beauty of the second one is completely automatic. So the first one's got a few nice features that the later one hasn't got, and the second one's got this stronger hose. In terms of accessories, they both come with spare fuses and different adapters so that you can use them to inflate inflatable toys like Lilos, bicycle tyres, footballs, basketballs, and anything that needs inflating. That's about it. I've been very pleased with both of them, and recommend both. If you can get hold of either, go for it. If you can get hold of both and need to make a choice, I would go for the second one, just because it's a little bit more convenient. Okay, I hope this video has been useful to you.